Hey everyone, so we're going to talk a little bit about how to work on these graphics programs in Java. And that's going to require us to use codehs.com. And some of you may have used it before, but it allows for some video output, which is really handy so that we can see what we're producing. A few years back, we would use Replit. Wake County blocked that, so CodeHS is approved, and I will work with you to see how to log in there. You can log in under your school credentials, and I'll get you in classes and stuff in there too. So I hate to add another program, but such is life. All right, so once you get in here, one of the things that you're going to do is you're looking at my teacher section right now. You want to find the sandbox area. Quite frankly, you can find it right up top here. Okay, so actually scratch that piece. I think we have to go to create program. Yes, there we go. And now we're going to come over here to Java Swing. And then we're going to create program, and let's see if we can get it in that folder. Not sure if it's in the folder or not. We'll figure that out in a little bit. Okay, so you can see that there's an import statement up here for javax swing. That asterisk means they're bringing in all the programs. And you can see that we have a file called myprogram.java, public class myprogram, and then they've gone ahead and put a main method in here. And this is fine. We can work with it like this for now and then divide it up later on. So let's just take a look at what this particular program does. We're going to run this. It's just going to create a very simple form with hello world. And I'm not even sure that hello world pushes out anything. All right, and just going through this real quick, and we're going to move on to lines and stuff. There's an object called a JFrame that's built into Java Swing, and you can create an object just like we would a painter. It's a JFrame, and then they call it F. I would probably call it frame equals new frame JFrame. You can see that's a no argument constructor. And then they created a JButton, B1 equals new button, and they put some text on it. And then a B1 set bounds. They set the dimensions of the button and stuff and where it goes from an X and Y perspective. Then they added it. They set the size of the frame to 400 by 400 pixels. Set layout to null. We'll have to research this a little bit more. Not quite sure what that does. And then set visible to true. Okay, so we're not going to be doing that right now with this. We're going to be focusing on some other things. But just to give you an idea about how this starts. So let's go ahead and stop the program real quick. And let me get you started up here on something. Okay, now to show you transitioning from putting buttons and stuff on our programs to actually trying to create the drawing. Java Swing, the Abstract Window Toolkit, and the graphics portion of those libraries. All right, so at the top you can see 3 import statements. We're going to import all of the Abstract Windows Toolkit. Oh, by the way, this program is called redlinedrawing.java. It has its main method right in it. We didn't break it out into two. We did not break this out into 2 files. So it'll have the class up top, and it'll have the main method here. Now realize I'm going to skip over a few things because we haven't covered them yet, but that should not hinder you in any way. So we're going to have a public class called Redline Drawing that just extends something called JPanel. And JPanel is that window, like you would see in any Windows program, that we draw on top of. And then we're going to have a protected void paint component, Graphics2D. All right, and we can look this up, and we'll look it up in the documentation after a while. And then it's going to inherit some things from paint component. And notice that we have this G local variable. All right, so we're going to cast a Graphics2D for better control over the line properties. This is a library I'm just becoming familiar with. It seems pretty nice. But what you can see here, just like we would cast an object from an int to a double or vice versa, or say an int to a string, we're going to use a Graphics2D type. The variable name is going to be G2D. And then we've got G up here, and we're going to cast it to Graphics2D. So now we have an object called G2D that is a Graphics2D card. Graphics2D variable that's part of this paint component. All right, so we're now going to use the variable name G2D, and we're going to set the color to red. All right, you can follow that syntax. And now we're going to set the stroke or the width of the line. All right, we got a method called setStroke, and then new basic stroke, and then we're going to set it to 10. And then you can see that we have this, we're going to draw a horizontal line that's 100 pixels long. All right, so it's going to start, we're going to take G2D, the object, we're going to use the draw line method on it. It's going to start at an XY position of 50 and 100, and it's going to end at an XY position of 150 and 100. All right, so that gets the paint component class set up. Now let's look at the main method here in line 25. So they talk to you here about creating the main window. There's the J frame that you want to create. We're going to call it redline drawing. You'll see that show up in the title. Now this frame.setDefaultClose operation, jframe.exitOnClose, that's the X button on all these windows. And if you were to click it, then the J frame or that window would close. We're going to set the frame size from 300 to 200. Frame set location relative to, and then null, this centers the window. And we can review some of those other things later on. And now we're going to create and add something called the drawing panel. So we have redline drawing up here. Redline drawing panel equals new redline drawing. Now this is inheriting, all right, it extends JPanel. So it's inheriting some properties from there. Don't worry about what they all are right now. You can just follow the syntax. When we have to do one more thing, once we create the panel, we have to add it to the frame right here. And then lastly, we have to make the window visible. So let's take a look at what happens here. And we should get a 300 by 200, 300 across by 200 high. And then we've got a red line with a basic stroke of 10 that starts at 50, 100 and ends at 150, 100. Now let's vary this a little bit just to see where the origin point is. Let's come up here and put 0 in and 0. All right, because that's our starting XY position. And we just want to see where the origin point is of the line. All right, so we'll run this again. And so you can see on most computer graphics programs, the origin point starts in the upper left. So X behaves the same. It increases from, as you head to the right, from left to right, X increases. However, Y increases from top to bottom. So 0 is up here, and then we've got, I think, 100 down here. All right, just to show you a couple of other things that we can fiddle around with. If we want to mess with the line width because we think that's too much, we can do that. Let's stop that and run it. All right, and you can see that's changed. We can change this to black. Maybe if I can get my fingers on the right keys. All right, very good. I'm going to stop and run that. All right, beautiful. So now if you wanted to change the orientation of your map, now you may want the map to remain in a landscape mode, but you may want some more room. So where you're going to fix that will be the J frame. So if we want to say we want a width of something more like, let's say 800 pixels by, I don't know, 400. I'm trying to think of your graph paper size. All right, now we can stop that and run that. And now you can move this window over. And now you've got your J-frame that is much larger and much more capable. And you've got a little scrolly bar down here to handle things. Okay, so these are some of the very basics of setting up this Graphics2D library that's a part of AWT event, which will be our event handler if you want to click on anything, and then Java Swing. So this is your introductory video to just setting up some very basic lines and manipulatives in Java Swing to be able to draw the map.